Hello, and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. We're going to be looking at a ladder replay on Blasted Rock between Flood and Spark Dragon. These are both fairly low-rated players, so most of what we will see is not going to make any sense at all. But my goal is to point out all the things I see that don't make sense and try to explain why they don't make sense, so that these players can hopefully become better at the game. Hopefully this will be both entertaining and informative. Because I've watched this before, I can already point out a mistake that you haven't queued up more with your ACU. Like obviously this is a land spam map, so you're going to be going second, third land, maybe fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh land even. And if you had actually queued up things with your ACU, you would not leave this engineer idle for a couple seconds. It's not a huge deal, but it's not really excusable either, because there's nothing else that you're even clicking on the map. So this engineer should have some orders queued up by the time, as soon as it rolls off the factory. And you could also queue up more orders with this. Build this mex, reclaim this rock, reclaim this stuff, build this mex and hydro, and attack move, and that would, then this engineer would be taken care of for the entirety of the game, but instead it's going to be idle after this mex. And this engineer is idle because you're busy giving orders for something else. And what you've done with this engineer is just give it an attack move order, which is not going to be any use at all. And this one's just reclaiming cactus, so that's not really of any use at all either. They should be expanding this way and up here and down here and down here as fast as possible. Since this game is about collecting more mass than your opponent to get an advantage, which is usually just spamming more tanks in them, you need to actually build mass extractors as fast as possible to get that mass. So don't reclaim cactus and attack move with your engineers. Actually send them to do useful things. If you have the APM, you could manually reclaim all these rocks on your way to the mexes. But if you don't have the APM to do that, it's not a huge deal. You're building two factories at once with different things, which doesn't make any sense. You should prioritize one and the other, so both will be done faster. And the factory's idle anyway. There's 3 idle engineers. So you really need to give your units longer queues of orders and not let them idle. You should give your factories orders while they're still being produced. You can tell them what to do and set their waypoint. So you should be producing more factories. This engineer died to a mech marine, so you need to send a tank down there to deal with that before sending another engineer here. And we'll see in a minute that you don't do that. You're out of mass, which means that your ACU should be walking down here. If you don't have resources, you should walk your ACU out of the base, because there's nothing else that it can really do. You're still having 12 mass and overflowing 150 power. So you should stop building power, because that consumes mass and will generate more power, which is the complete opposite of what you want right now. You need to stop producing power and build more factories. Build an air factory, but you're letting it idle. Flood is actually using artillery to kill the civilians in the middle and get the reclaim. I think it's pretty early to be doing that, but it's free mass for him, so I guess why not? Now you're scouting. You flew over this lab, but you're going to send your engineer to die to it anyway. producing more scouts, and your air factory's idle again. Should just queue up. You didn't really scout very good. You didn't see what any of your opponent's factories are, but now we'll see. We can see that your opponent has no air factory, so you should produce some bombers out of this. I probably wouldn't even build air on this map, but you can build air, it's fine, but you need to actually use it if you're building it. You're building an interceptor, even though we can see there's nothing to intercept, so it's a waste. You need to be building bombers. You're building a second air factory, which is extreme overkill on this map. Like one air factory should be enough, or 0. If you wanted more air build power, you could use these idle engineers to assist your air factory. You don't need to build another one. You've already got build power wasted. Now you're overflowing 230 power, but you've queued up even more pgens. This is like 1,000 mass and pgens extra. You could have built 3 land factories and spammed way more land and already be running your opponent over at this point. It's taken a long time to take this expansion, and this one, your opponent didn't really go for them at all, so they're basically free. Free 10 mexes. You can see that your opponent has 2 T2 mexes and a mass storage, and is upgrading T2 on his ACU. So this game should be 100% won if you just actually built land factories and land units and not idled all your engineers in your base and built 1,000 extra massive pgens. The game would be over by now. Looks like you sent 4 engineers down here and died to this one lab. It doesn't make any sense at all. You should just send 1 tank down there to kill it. Your ACU should have walked down here like 5 minutes ago and built these mexes, but it's just standing here. You actually built a point defense that then died to something I don't even know. You finally decided to produce a bomber. You're targeting a hydrocarbon with the bomber, which is not a good idea. Hydrocarbons have 1700 HP, so it's going to take a long time before it's killed. You'd be better off targeting right here. You could kill all these pgens and this radar and this PD, probably, in just like 3 passes from the bomber, or 2. Got another bomber. Sorry for the coughing, I'm a bit sick. Your ACU is still just sitting here idle. These 5 mass extractors and all this reclaim is free for the taking, but you're refusing to take it for some unknown reason. You let your engineer up here die. You randomly built 2 unwalled PDs in the middle of nowhere for no reason. That's another 2 land factories you could have. Now we're overflowing 400 power, still building more pgens. They've actually finally added a couple more land factories. Your air factory's idle. If I was overflowing 500 power right now, I'd probably put all these engineers assisting my air factory making bombers. Maybe even reclaim some of the pgens, because there's so many extra. Now you've waited long enough that your opponent has anti-air in his base. Looks like you're sending another 3 engineers down to die to this lab, because the first 4 weren't enough to get the message across that there's a lab down there. You've sent your entire land force back here to kill 1 tank, which is incredibly inefficient. But since you've allowed your opponent to build up PD and T2 PD and all sorts of stuff, the only place you could use your land force is down here. But ironically, it's in the geographically farthest point on the map possible from where it would be useful. Your ACU is still just standing here doing nothing, refusing to take all this free mass down here. Here's a slab. I need to kill another NG. Looks like it might actually get reclaimed. Yeah, it actually dies to these 3 NGs. But it got 5 engineer kills. So it's paid for its mass cost like 5 times over or more. Like you're starting a T2 land HQ, which will be necessary. You'll need TTPD and MMLs since you've let your opponent build TTPD for some reason. Your land army's still idling up here in the far corner of the map where it's useless. Your opponent has actually went down here and built this expansion since you refused to take it. They finally sent some engineers down here to do that. You're landing your air in this PD and anti-air range, so it's all dying. These units should be moving down here, but instead they're just dying to PD for free. I noticed you haven't built any radar this entire game. Radar is pretty useful, so you can actually see where your opponent's units are and know where to move your army.
Commander under attack.
This air factory is still idle. I feel like it's been idle for the entire game. From this point on, this is pretty much pointless to watch because you've made so many mistakes up until now that your opponent just has 5 T2 mexes, some mass storage, and is building point defense through the middle of the map into your base. Like 5 T2 mexes, you could have built like 100 phobos by now. I just ran over this base. Even with all this TTPD, 100 phobos would probably still win. This mass tractor is even T2. You could have raided it at any point in time, but your units are way up here in the corner of the map for some reason, instead of somewhere where they're useful. So your opponent's just allowed to build T2 mexes in random places on the map that aren't even safe. Finally, 12 minutes into the game, you're actually going to build... No, you're still not going to build this expansion. You still haven't taken this expansion. 12 minutes. You should have had it like minute 3. Just walked your ACU down here and built it. Your opponent's actually built a TML, but luckily for you, you have nothing even worth TMLing except this HQ. Since he has a TML, he should produce a T2NG and make some TMD immediately before he TMLs your HQ. But you're actually just idling this T2HQ. You invested all the time and mass energy into building this expensive structure simply to leave it idle. It doesn't really make sense. We're still overflowing 200 power. Now he's actually TMLing T1 mexes, which is pretty good for you because a missile costs 180 mass and the T1 mex only costs 36 mass. So he's actually helping you by TMLing those. But you're going to take quite a while to rebuild it, I assume, because you have no engineers in your base anymore. Now you're actually overflowing 600 power. But you're actually building TMD, which is good. It's not the best position for it, really. Missiles might actually be able to hit the HQ still, but it's probably actually good enough to stop them. You can't even see where there's PD and stuff because he refused to build radar. At this point, the game's pretty much lost, but you could build some TTPD to at least halt this TTPD creep. But your opponent has double your mass income, more energy income, more reclaim, way more score. You're just way behind. Because even taken the middle mexes and upgraded them to T2. Because you just didn't build any land factories, refused to take your own expansions. Basically do nothing that makes any sense this entire game. And your opponent's making left drone because he has nothing else to do. And it's fun to build drones, I guess.
Commander under attack.
So basically what you should do in this game is to queue up like 3 land factories with your ACU, walk down here, build the stuff, don't leave your engineers idle, actually use your engineers to expand, actually use your units to attack instead of putting them in the far corner of the map.
Commander under attack.
Then your opponent would not have been able to make T2 mexes and T2 ACU and T2 PD across the map because you would have just built 200 phobos and crushed them at minute 10.
Commander under attack.
Opponent's also making T2 land. Your opponent has so much mass, he doesn't know what to do with it. You're still overflowing 700 power. 2,000 mass and pgens, plus these 2 hydros. The server factory's still idle.
Commander under attack.
And now you control K, which is a very good move. That's exactly what I would do in this situation. If I played so badly that I let my opponent PD creep into my base on a 5x5 map. So hopefully this was somewhat informative and somewhat entertaining. Maybe I'll make more of these in the future. We'll see.